Every Saturday morning, the parking lot is full before the doors even open. Luxury SUVs, fitness influencers, entrepreneurs, weekend warriors, everyone carrying the same invisible hope. Walk in tired, walk out detoxed. The wooden door closes. The heat rises, 90 degrees Celsius. Sweat begins rolling down faces, arms, backs. Someone smiles as they watch drops hit the floor. There it goes, they think, the toxins. It feels convincing. After all, you can see it. You can't see your liver. You can't watch your kidneys filtering your blood, but you can absolutely watch sweat pouring off your forehead like your body just declared bankruptcy on bad decisions. And that's exactly why this myth has survived for so long. Because evolution often hides the most important work. Meanwhile, inside your body, something entirely different is happening. Your heart beats faster. Blood vessels in your skin widen to release heat. Your sweat glands work overtime, producing moisture that evaporates and cools you down before your internal temperature climbs too high. It's an extraordinary survival system. But notice what your body is trying to solve. Not pollution, not heavy metals, not mysterious toxins. Heat. Your skin isn't launching a cleansing ritual. It's preventing you from overheating. That alone should make us pause, because somewhere along the way, cooling became confused with cleansing. And once that idea took hold, an entire wellness industry grew around it. The hotter the sauna, the bigger the detox. The more sweat, the cleaner your body. It sounds beautifully simple. Biology rarely is. Imagine congratulating your home's air conditioner for taking out the trash. It worked hard. It absolutely served an important purpose. It just wasn't the purpose you imagined. The same confusion happens inside the human body every single day. We celebrate what we can see. Sweat, red faces, fogged up mirrors, soaking towels. Visible effort feels like visible progress. Our brains love that story. Evolution doesn't care how dramatic your wellness routine looks. It cares whether your cells stay alive. And those are not always the same thing. Here's something almost nobody tells you. The hardest working detox organs in your body never produce a single drop of sweat. Not once. Your liver doesn't ask for applause. Your kidneys don't post motivational quotes on social media. They simply show up every second, every minute, every hour. Whether you're sleeping, working, watching television, or sitting inside the world's hottest sauna. If your liver had an ego, it would probably file a complaint. Interesting, it might say. I've been processing chemicals 24 hours a day since you were born, and somehow the towel gets all the credit. Harsh, but fair. Now, before anyone throws their sauna membership into the nearest recycling bin, let's be clear, saunas are not the villain of this story. Far from it. Research has linked regular sauna use with several potential health benefits, including improvements in cardiovascular health, relaxation, heat acclimation, and overall well-being for many people. That's fascinating science. But those benefits are not the same thing as proving that sweat is your body's primary detoxification system. Those are two completely different conversations. And confusing them is like saying airplanes are wonderful because they improve your swimming technique. Great technology. Wrong job description. The real surprise isn't that sweating is useless. It isn't. The real surprise is that we've been giving the spotlight to the wrong biological actor all along. While everyone was staring at the sweat, the real detox machinery kept working quietly backstage. Invisible, uncelebrated, almost completely misunderstood. So here's the question that changes everything. What if the biggest detox myth was never about sweating itself, but about mistaking your body's cooling system for its chemical cleanup crew? Meet Daniel, 46 years old, successful business owner. He exercises 4 days a week, eats plenty of vegetables, rarely drinks alcohol. Every Sunday afternoon, without fail, he spends 40 minutes in a sauna. It's his ritual. He leaves drenched in sweat, wraps a towel around his shoulders, takes a deep breath, and tells himself, I just flushed all the toxins out. He feels lighter, cleaner, renewed. And to be fair, some of that feeling is absolutely real. Heat exposure can relax muscles, improve circulation to the skin, and trigger the release of endorphins that contribute to a sense of well-being. Many people genuinely feel fantastic after a sauna, but feeling refreshed and performing detoxification are not necessarily the same biological event. Months later, during a routine checkup, Daniel asks his physician a simple question. So, how often should I detox? The doctor smiles, then asks a question Daniel wasn't expecting. I'm more interested in how you're supporting the organs that have been detoxifying you every minute since the day you were born. Silence, because nobody had ever framed it that way. We've been taught to think of detoxification as an occasional event, a weekend reset, a 30-day challenge, a juice cleanse, a sauna session. Your body disagrees. It never clocks out. Let's meet the real cast of characters. First, your skin. Everyone knows it. Everyone sees it. It's the celebrity of this story. But biologically, your skin is the cooling department. Its primary mission is beautifully simple. Keep your internal temperature within a narrow range where your enzymes can continue doing their jobs. When you get too hot, your sweat glands open the taps. Water reaches the surface. It evaporates. Heat leaves your body. Mission accomplished. Think of your sweat glands as emergency sprinklers. They're incredible at controlling heat. You just wouldn't ask them to manage your city's recycling program. Now let's walk a little deeper inside. Meet the liver. If Hollywood ever made a movie about organs, the liver would be criminally undercast. No flashy entrance, no dramatic soundtrack, just relentless work, hour after hour, day after day. This remarkable organ performs thousands of chemical reactions every second. It helps process medications, alcohol, hormones, normal metabolic byproducts, countless compounds that enter your body through food, air, and everyday life. It doesn't simply throw chemicals away, it transforms them. We'll come back to that astonishing process later. Then there are your kidneys, quiet perfectionists. Every single day, they filter an enormous volume of blood plasma, carefully deciding what your body should keep and what should leave through urine. Not everything goes out, not everything stays in. It's a constant exercise in biological judgment. If your kidneys had personalities, they'd probably wear reading glasses and carry clipboard. Let's double check that electrolyte. No, you still need that water. Yes, this waste product can leave. They don't guess. They calculate every second. Now imagine blood as the world's most efficient delivery company. It carries oxygen, nutrients, hormones, immune cells, waste products. Everything moves because the transportation network never stops. Your liver receives shipments, processes them. Your kidneys inspect the results. Your circulatory system keeps the entire operation connected. Meanwhile, your skin is standing outside with a giant fan saying, I'm making sure none of this overheats. Important? Absolutely. The same job? Not even close. Here's where things become fascinating. When you're in a sauna, your cardiovascular system makes temporary adjustments to help regulate body temperature. Blood flow to the skin increases so heat can escape more effectively. Your heart works harder. Your body sweats. These are normal, healthy responses in most people who can safely tolerate sauna use. But this doesn't mean your liver suddenly stops detoxifying. It doesn't mean your kidneys take a coffee break. Healthy physiology is far more sophisticated than that. Your body coordinates these systems simultaneously, not one instead of another. This is why biology is so much more impressive than internet slogans. It doesn't rely on one heroic organ saving the day. It's an orchestra. Every section plays a different instrument. The violins don't become trumpets just because the music gets louder. The same is true for your organs. Your skin cools, your liver transforms, your kidneys filter. Each has its own masterpiece to perform. And here's the emotional twist most people never hear. The organs doing the most important work are often the ones you never feel. You can feel sweat dripping down your back. You can't feel a liver cell modifying a complex molecule. You can see steam rising off your shoulders. You can't watch millions of microscopic filtration units inside your kidneys making thousands of tiny decisions every minute. The invisible work is easy to ignore, but invisible doesn't mean unimportant. In fact, some of the greatest miracles in human biology happen so quietly that we spend our entire lives without noticing them. And that brings us to an even bigger revelation, because everything we've discussed so far is only describing where detoxification happens. We haven't yet answered the far more astonishing question. How does your body actually transform potentially harmful chemicals into forms it can safely eliminate? The answer is so extraordinary that it makes the word detox sound almost embarrassingly simplistic. Pause for a second. Everything we've explored so far is only half the story. Most people imagine detoxification as if the body were emptying a trash can. Something bad goes in, something bad comes out. Simple, clean, done. Reality is far more extraordinary. Your body doesn't simply remove chemicals, it rewrites them. Think about that. Every second of your life, while you're listening to this, billions of microscopic chemical reactions are taking place inside your cells. Not randomly, not chaotically, with astonishing precision. Your liver isn't a garbage chute. It's one of the most sophisticated chemical laboratories ever assembled by evolution. Imagine receiving thousands of mysterious packages every day. Some are harmless, some are useful, some could become dangerous if left untouched. Would you simply throw every box out the front door? Of course not. First, you'd inspect it, open it, modify it if necessary, attach a label, repackage it. Only then could it safely leave the building. That's remarkably similar to what your liver does. Many compounds cannot simply be eliminated in the exact form they entered your body. They often undergo a series of enzyme-driven transformations that make them easier for the body to transport and eventually excrete. Scientists often describe this process in stages. First comes what's commonly called phase 1. Here, specialized enzyme families, most famously the cytochrome P450 enzymes, begin modifying countless compounds. Sometimes they make molecules less active. Sometimes they prepare them for the next step. Sometimes they briefly create intermediates that actually become more chemically reactive before they're safely processed further, which sounds terrifying until you remember there's another team already waiting. Welcome to phase 2. This is where the body becomes almost unbelievably elegant. The liver attaches naturally occurring molecules to many of those transformed compounds. Think of it as adding brightly colored shipping labels. Suddenly, substances that were difficult to transport become much easier for the body to move toward elimination. One of the stars of this process is glutathione. If Hollywood wrote superhero movies about molecules, glutathione would deserve its own trilogy. No cape, no dramatic entrance, just relentless biochemical teamwork. It participates in protecting cells from oxidative stress and helps support the processing of certain reactive compounds. Not magic, not invincible, just remarkably effective biology. Now picture an enormous distribution center. Packages arrive from every direction. Workers inspect them, others relabel them. Some are repaired, some are recycled, some are sent to the exit. Nothing is rushed, nothing is random. That's much closer to detoxification than the image of sweat carrying away mysterious poisons. Here's the mind-bending part. All of this happens whether you're sitting in a sauna, walking your dog, sleeping, or reading a book on the couch. The chemistry never waits for your wellness routine. It never checks your social media schedule. It simply continues. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Now, let's address something important. You may have heard that traces of certain metals or other compounds can sometimes be detected in sweat. That's true. Researchers have identified small amounts of some substances in perspiration. But here's the critical distinction. Finding something in sweat is not the same as proving that sweating is the body's primary or most effective route for eliminating it. Those are completely different scientific questions. For the vast majority of metabolic waste products, medications, and environmental chemicals, the liver and kidneys remain the dominant players. Evidence simply doesn't support replacing their starring role with sweat. And what about microplastics? They're everywhere. Scientists have detected microscopic plastic particles in air, water, food, and even various human tissues. Research into how the body handles these particles is still developing. There is currently no strong evidence that sitting in a sauna causes microplastics to become trapped deeper inside your cells because more blood flows to your skin. That's an intriguing story. It's just not one supported by today's evidence. Science becomes more powerful, not less, when it admits what it still doesn't know. Here's the revelation that changes everything. Your greatest detox superpower isn't something you can watch in a mirror. It isn't a puddle of sweat on the floor. It isn't a soaked towel. It's invisible chemistry. You're not a walking sponge squeezing toxins out through your pores. You're a living biochemical refinery. Every second, trillions of enzymes cooperate with astonishing precision, transforming, transporting, recycling, and eliminating countless molecules while asking for absolutely no applause. You don't stay healthy because your body sweats dramatically. You stay healthy because your cells perform chemistry so advanced that even our most sophisticated laboratories are still trying to fully understand it. And once you truly appreciate that, the marketing slogans start sounding surprisingly small, because the biggest misunderstanding isn't about saunas. It's about believing that spectacular biology has to be visible to be real. Now comes the collision. Not between heat and cold, not between saunas and ice baths, but between marketing and human physiology, because this is where biology quietly raises its hand and says, I'd like to correct the advertisement. You've probably seen the promise. Sweat out toxins. Simple, memorable, extremely satisfying. There's just one problem. Your body never received that memo. Let's perform a thought experiment. Suppose sweating truly were your primary detoxification system. Wouldn't the world's healthiest people simply be those who perspire the most? Construction workers in the middle of August, marathon runners crossing the finish line, people living in tropical climates without air conditioning. By that logic, they should all possess superhuman detoxification abilities. Obviously, that's not how physiology works. Sweating tells us one thing with remarkable reliability. Your body is producing heat and trying to get rid of it. That's the message. Not that dangerous compounds are suddenly evacuating your bloodstream in massive quantities. If sweat alone determined detoxification, every fever would be a cleansing retreat. Every heat wave would become a public health intervention. Evolution, fortunately, chose a far more intelligent design. Here's another popular claim. The hotter the sauna, the deeper the detox. It sounds impressive, but biology doesn't award bonus points for dramatic suffering. Your enzymes don't look at a thermometer and say, wonderful, it's 95 degrees, let's detox twice as hard. Your liver isn't motivated by pain. Your kidneys aren't inspired by discomfort. They're governed by physiology, not by motivational posters hanging in luxury spas. Here's my favorite imaginary conversation. Your skin bursts into the room shouting, everyone, I'm sweating. The liver looks up from processing thousands of chemical reactions every second and calmly replies, that's adorable. I've been working since before breakfast. The kidneys don't even look up. They're too busy filtering blood. Poor kidneys. No glamorous wellness retreats. No inspirational Instagram captions. No eucalyptus house. Just decades of relentless biological excellence. Talk about being underappreciated. Now, let's be fair. Saunas absolutely deserve credit where credit is due. Regular sauna bathing has been associated in multiple studies with benefits including cardiovascular health, improved vascular function, relaxation, recovery for some individuals, and better heat acclimation. Those findings are genuinely exciting. Researchers continue exploring exactly how these benefits arise. And while not every claim is settled, the evidence supporting several cardiovascular and well-being effects is encouraging. That's worth celebrating. But notice something important. None of those legitimate benefits require pretending sweat is your primary detoxification pathway. The sauna doesn't become less interesting when we remove the myth. If anything, it becomes more interesting because now we're appreciating what it actually does instead of asking it to perform jobs it was never designed to do. That's a recurring pattern in modern wellness. A useful tool becomes a miracle cure. A fascinating physiological response becomes exaggerated into a universal explanation. Complex biology gets compressed into a catchy slogan. The slogan spreads faster than the science, and somewhere along the way, nuance quietly leaves the room. Nature rarely works in absolutes. It works in systems. Interconnected, adaptive, elegant. Your liver depends on nutrients. Your kidneys depend on healthy circulation and hydration. Your cardiovascular system supports every organ. Your brain regulates countless processes without asking for your permission. No single habit carries the entire burden. Not a supplement, not a smoothie, not a sauna, not an ice bath. Health is rarely built by one spectacular intervention. It's usually built by thousands of quiet ones repeated every single day. Hydration, nutritious food, physical activity, sleep, managing chronic stress, avoiding unnecessary exposure to harmful substances when possible, supporting the organs that have been protecting you since birth. That may not fit neatly into a flashy advertisement, but biology has never been in the advertising business. Here's the irony. Many people spend enormous amounts of money trying to, quote, activate detoxification, while the organs responsible are simply hoping for enough sleep, adequate nutrition, and fewer unnecessary insults. If your liver could leave a product review, it might say, 5 stars for the sauna, very relaxing, but I'd also appreciate if you stop treating ultra-processed food, excessive alcohol, and chronic sleep deprivation like they were personality traits. Harsh again, still fair. The body isn't impressed by dramatic rituals. It's remarkably responsive to consistent physiology. And perhaps that's the most rebellious idea of all. Real health often looks less exciting than the marketing brochure, but it's infinitely more powerful. The steam begins to fade. The timer reaches 0. The same person stands up, grabs the same towel, and slowly walks toward the exit. Nothing about the room has changed. The wooden benches are still warm. The air is still thick. Sweat still drips from their arms onto the floor, but something inside them is completely different. A few minutes ago, they believed every drop of sweat represented toxins leaving their body. Now, they understand they were witnessing something just as extraordinary, but entirely different. Their body wasn't performing a dramatic chemical purge. It was defending itself against heat, an elegant cooling system, refined over millions of years. Outside the sauna, their liver never stopped working. Not for a second. Billions of enzymes continued transforming molecules. Their kidneys continued filtering blood with astonishing precision. Cells throughout the body continued repairing damage, producing energy, recycling proteins, balancing electrolytes, and maintaining life. The real miracle wasn't happening on the surface. It was happening where no mirror could ever reflect it. That's the strange thing about biology. The most important processes are usually the least theatrical. Nobody applauds a healthy liver. Nobody congratulates a pair of kidneys after another successful day of filtration. No one posts a photo celebrating millions of enzyme reactions happening exactly as they should. Instead, we celebrate what we can see. The soaked towel, the fogged up mirror, the exhausted smile after 30 minutes in intense heat. Visible effort feels satisfying. Invisible physiology keeps you alive. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson hidden inside this entire story. Nature rarely rewards appearances. It rewards function. The body doesn't care whether a habit looks impressive on social media. It cares whether that habit supports the systems it spent millions of years perfecting. That doesn't mean you should stop using a sauna. Quite the opposite. If you enjoy sauna bathing, tolerate heat well, and your healthcare professional has no reason to advise against it, it can absolutely remain part of a healthy lifestyle. Enjoy the relaxation. Appreciate the cardiovascular challenge. Use it to unwind, recover, disconnect. Just don't ask it to perform a job that belongs to another organ. Because when we misunderstand biology, we often overlook the real heroes. Your liver, your kidneys, your circulatory system, your cells working together every second, never asking for recognition, only asking for support. Healthy food, adequate hydration, regular movement, quality sleep, responsible alcohol intake, avoiding unnecessary environmental exposures whenever practical. These habits may not feel glamorous, but they're the quiet investments your biology understands. Remember how this story began? A person sitting proudly in a 90-degree sauna, convinced they were sweating toxins out of their body. Let's return to that image one last time. The steam still rises. The sweat still falls. The towel is still soaked. Only now the question has changed. Not how many toxins did I sweat out, but how well am I supporting the remarkable organs that have been protecting me every single moment of my life? That single question changes everything, because health was never built on dramatic moments alone. It has always been built on extraordinary systems performing ordinary work with breathtaking consistency. Nature never designed your body to detox through spectacle. It designed your body to detox through remarkable chemistry. Invisible, relentless, beautifully coordinated. The next time someone tells you they're sweating out the toxins, you'll know the real story. The sweat may be real. The cooling is absolutely real. Some substances can indeed be found in sweat, but the greatest detoxification system in the human body has been quietly working behind the scenes all along. If this conversation completely changed the way you think about detoxification, you'll definitely want our free evidence-based detox blueprint. Inside, you'll find a practical guide to how the liver and kidneys actually process compounds, what current research really says about sauna use, evidence-backed habits that support normal detoxification pathways, common detox myths explained, and simple lifestyle strategies grounded in physiology instead of marketing. Because the more you understand how your body truly works, the less you have to rely on myths. And once you stop chasing biological illusions, you can finally start supporting biological reality.